exception hierarchy. There is a class name, built-in class name throwable. Which class name? Throwable. This throwable class having two child class. One is exception and one is error. So throwable is a built-in class name. This throwable class having two child class. One is exception and one is error. So exception is a child class of throwable. Error is a child class of throwable. Here another interview question came to the picture for fresher. What is the difference between exception and error? So maximum students, 90% students, regarding error, they will give the answer compile time error, logical error, runtime error. Maximum students, they will give the answer. But interviewer will expect different answer. So when the interviewer will ask you, you will give this answer. Error is a child class of throwable. Error is a child class of throwable. Difference is only 1 point. 1 point that is difference. Exception and this is error. So exception, it is the child class of throwable. It is the child class of throwable. But exception, it is recoverable or it is handled, because we are going to learn exception handling mechanism. So once an exception arising in a program, we can handle, we can recoverable. But whereas error is not recoverable, irrecoverable. But it is the child class. It is the child class of throwable. It is the child class of throwable, but it is not recoverable. So once an error is arising, it is not recoverable. So this is throwable and this is having two child class. One is exception and one is error. Then error. So error having so many, again built-in child class. Stack overflow error, out of memory error, out of memory error. Suppose you have 4 GB RAM. One project have assigned you that is requiring 8 GB RAM. So how you will manage, how you will resolve that task by coding, by executing some code. Okay, so it is not possible. So out of memory error, but our focus is not that in this context. Our focus is exception. Stack overflow error, out of memory error, stack overflow error, all are one built-in class. Virtual memory error, virtual memory error, etc. Okay, so error is the child class of throwable. Then error having so many built-in child classes. Similarly, exception. There are two types of exception. There are two types of exception. One is checked exception and one is unchecked exception. One is checked exception and one is unchecked exception. Then for all unchecked exception, there is a built-in class. The class name is runtime exception. Runtime exception. In our last class, we have seen arithmetic exception. Currently, we saw your array index out of bounds exception, null pointer exception, class cast exception. So many exceptions are the child class of runtime exceptions. And let's see, so here I have no space. So checked and unchecked exceptions. So for all unchecked exceptions, runtime exception is the parent class. A runtime exception. So one is we have seen arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception. Currently we saw array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. Null pointer exception. Null pointer exception, etc. So these are the child class of runtime exception. Okay, so a runtime exception is the parent class of all unchecked exceptions. I will explain what is checked and what is unchecked exception. Then your checked exceptions, one is IO exceptions, one is IO exceptions, one is file not found exception, one is file not found exceptions, file not found exception. So all are one checked exceptions, etc. So this is the one of the favorite question of HCL Technologies. HCL Technologies, one of the good company. So this question is the favorite question. So they will give a paper and they will say, draw exception hierarchy. If somebody will ask, these IO exception, file not found exception, these are one built-in class name, their parent class name is exception, exception parent class is throwable, then who is the parent of throwable class? If they will ask, so happily you will give the answer object class. Object class. Object class is a such class which is the parent class of all user defined, all built-in class. Okay, so this is the exception hierarchy. Okay, so exception, there are two types of exception. One is checked and unchecked exception. So in my next class, I will give the explanation. I will give the clarity what is checked and what is unchecked. And IO exception, file not found exception. These are the examples of checked exceptions, but all are one built-in class. Similarly, there are so many unchecked exceptions, and all unchecked exception parent class name is runtime exceptions. Your arithmetic exception, array index out of bounds exception, null pointer exception, class cast exception, all are the example of a runtime exception. Runtime exception is a built-in class name. Then runtime exception parent is exception, exception parent is throwable, throwable parent is object. So this is the exception hierarchy.